The alien prison hall was cold and damp, its walls glowing faintly with the blue light of containment fields. Chains rattled somewhere in the darkness, but no one paid attention to the sound. The guards were busy laughing. At the center of the hall, surrounded by tall alien soldiers, sat the only human prisoner. His wrists were locked in glowing cuffs that pulsed with an electric hum. His clothes were torn, his face pale, but his eyes were calm. They were the eyes of someone who had already decided something. The aliens mocked him loudly. "Look at this creature," one of them sneered, his voice dripping with disgust. "So weak, so small, and this is what humans look like? The galaxy said they were dangerous? I see only a scared animal." Another guard joined in. "The old stories were lies. Earth is finished. This one is the last, probably begging for mercy in his heart." The human didn't reply. He sat still, watching them as if their words were nothing but background noise. The guards didn't know the truth. They didn't know that somewhere above their heads, beyond the clouds, a warship drifted in the silent void. It had been there for years, hidden in orbit, powered down so completely that even the most advanced scanners thought it was dead metal. But it was not dead. Far above the prison world, in the frozen silence of space, a single red light blinked. Deep within the warship's dark corridors, small at first, almost invisible, but it was the first sign of life the ship had shown in decades. On its core, an ancient system had just received a signal, a distress call, and it recognized the voice. Inside the prison, the aliens dragged the human to his feet. His cuffs sparked as they pulled him toward an interrogation chamber. The room was metallic, the air thick with the smell of chemicals and fear. The alien commander stood waiting. He was taller than the others, his armor heavy with metals. He looked at the human like a scientist looking at an insect. "You will answer my questions," the commander said. "Your people are gone. Your fleets are gone. There's no one coming for you." The human's lips curled into a faint smile. "You think so?" The commander narrowed his eyes. "We know so. Tell me, where is your fleet's hidden base?" The human tilted his head. "Somewhere you'll never reach." The aliens tried threats. They tried pain. They even tried using mind scan machines, inserting long needles of light into the prisoner's skull to read his thoughts. At first, they found nothing. Then, unexpectedly, the scans began to return an image. It was a ship, a massive warship. Its dark armor lined with glowing red seams, its guns the size of small cities. The ship was silent but alive, and in the image. Its weapons slowly turned toward the viewer. The alien scientists argued that it was a trick, a defense mechanism of the human brain. But then, one of their orbital listening posts sent a report in. Energy surge had been detected far out in space. Something big was powering up. The commander returned to the interrogation room, gripping the human's collar. "What did you do?" The human looked directly into his eyes and said quietly, "I told it I was ready to leave." Far above the planet, deep in the warship's reactor room, energy conduits glowed as ancient engines drank power for the first time in decades. The ship's AI systems came online, one after another, like eyes opening after a long sleep. It accessed the galaxy's comm channels, detected the location of its captain. It began to move. The alien fleet detected the approach. Within minutes, dozens of warships scrambled to intercept, their weapons locking on the human vessel. They sent hails, demanding identification. The warship ignored them, instead. A voice, cold, mechanical, and impossibly calm, filled every alien comm channel at once. "Return my captain," it said, "or be erased." In the prison, the human could hear the distant rumble of atmospheric shock waves. The guards looked at each other in confusion. "What is that noise?" one asked. The human simply smiled, leaning back in his chair. "That," he said softly, "is my ride." The alien commander stormed into the room again. "Your ship will be destroyed before it reaches this planet," he growled. The human shook his head. "You don't know what that ship is?" Sky above, the alien fleet opened fire, beams of plasma tearing through the void. The warship's shields flared to life, drinking in the energy like rain on steel. Then, without warning, The warship's main cannon fired once. The beam cut through an alien cruiser, splitting it in half before its crew could even scream. The wreckage burned in the atmosphere. A streak of fire visible from the prison windows. Alarms began to blare through the prison complex. Guards ran through the corridors, unsure whether to fortify their positions or flee. The commander looked at the human with something new in his eyes. Fear. The human leaned forward slowly. "You should open my cuffs now, while you still can." But the commander hesitated, and that hesitation would cost him. The warship's AI began broadcasting battle footage to every corner of the galaxy, showing alien warships exploding under human fire. It made sure the broadcasts included one clear message in every known language. This is one human. This is one ship. Think carefully before you take another. The galaxy was watching. The warship was still coming, far above the planet. In the endless dark, the warship drifted through the shadows of space. For years, it had been silent. No engines, no signals, no light. It was just a dead shape to the rest of the galaxy, an empty relic from an old war. But deep inside its steel heart, something had woken. In a control room covered in dust, a single red light pulsed. The ship's AI had heard the call. The voice of its captain began moving through its systems, like blood flowing back into cold veins. Power flowed into the engines. Sensors lit up, weapons warmed slowly, as if stretching after a long sleep. The AI did not rush. It was patient, calculating. It remembered every battle it had fought. It remembered the smell of burned metal, the screams over the comms, and the way alien fleets had tried to surround it and failed. Most of all, it remembered who it served, inside the prison on the planet below. The human sat in a cell with a cracked wall and a thin beam of sunlight cutting across the floor. The guards kept their distance now. Something about his calmness was unsettling them. They whispered to each other, glancing up at the sky every so often. They didn't know it, but the warship was already scanning the entire planet. It saw the prison complex. It mapped every door, every wall, every weapon inside. It located its captain exactly 3 floors underground in a reinforced cell. And then the AI did something that made the alien military panic. It sent a signal straight into their communications grid, across the alien fleet. Screens went black. Every channel, every frequency was overridden. Then a voice filled the air, cold, mechanical, and unshakable. "Prepare for retrieval." The alien admirals froze. One of them slammed his hand on the console, trying to cut the signal. It didn't matter. The warship's voice was in every speaker, every helmet, every piece of equipment they had. "Stand down," it continued, "or be removed." The alien commander on the planet received the same transmission in his office. He stared at the screen, seeing a grainy image of the warship's hull, a black mountain drifting through space, its glowing red eyes fixed on the planet. He called his superiors. "We must evacuate. That is not a normal human ship." The Council of Alien Leaders refused. "It is one vessel against an empire," they said. "We will crush it." The human in his cell heard none of this. Instead, he heard the faint tremor of the ground beneath him. It was subtle, like a distant thunder. His eyes narrowed. He knew the sound well. The warship was coming through the upper atmosphere. Above the clouds, the alien fleet tried to stop it. Hundreds of plasma beams lit up the sky, tearing toward the dark shape. The warship's shields rippled, absorbing the fire as if it were nothing more than heat on a summer day. Then the ship answered. A single weapon on its left side powered up, its barrel glowing hotter and hotter until it became a blinding sphere of light. The shot came without warning, a lance of pure destruction that speared an alien destroyer. The vessel exploded instantly, debris scattering across the void. Inside the prison, alien guards looked at each other in horror. Some began locking down the lower levels. Others ran for the surface, hoping to escape before whatever was up there reached the ground. The commander stormed into the human cell. His eyes were hard, but his voice was unsteady. "Tell it to stop," he ordered. The human tilted his head. "It doesn't take orders from you, only me. You will die here if you don't," the commander began. but his voice was drowned out by another sound. The prison walls began to hum. Lights flickered. Somewhere far above, something massive was cutting through the air, dropping toward the complex. The warship's AI had sent its drones, thousands of small, needle-shaped machines entered the atmosphere, their black holes reflecting nothing. They moved in perfect formation, heading directly for the prison. Alien anti-air guns opened fire. But the drones weaved through the shots like they were dancing. The human could hear them, now like a swarm of angry metal hornets, drawing closer. He looked up at the small beam of sunlight cutting across his cell floor. Smile returned. It was time. The door to the interrogation chamber slammed open. Alien guards rushed in, dragging the human out of his cell. His wrists were still in glowing cuffs, but his steps were steady. He did not resist. The hallway shook as they walked. Dust fell. From the ceiling, in the distance, explosions rumbled like a storm moving closer. The guards avoided looking at the human's face.
Ow.
But he saw the fear in their eyes. They pushed him into a room lit by harsh white lights. In the center stood the alien commander, his armor scratched and dented from years of war. On the walls, screens flickered with images of the battle in space, alien cruisers breaking apart under precision fire, drones cutting through smaller ships like paper. The commander turned toward the human, his voice sharp. "You will order your ship to retreat." The human raised an eyebrow. "Why would I do that?" "Because if you don't," the commander growled, "you will die here. Your ship cannot destroy this planet without killing you." The human tilted his head, almost amused. "Are you sure about that?" The commander's jaw tightened. He stepped closer, his shadow falling over the prisoner. "Tell me how it is doing this. No human vessel should have this kind of power. What is it?" The human's voice was calm. "It's called a Titan-class warship. We built 5 of them. This one is mine." The commander's eyes narrowed. Titan-class. It is a myth. Old war propaganda. The human leaned forward, his voice low. "Do I look like a myth to you?" Before the commander could reply, the room's lights flickered. Static burst across the screens. Then a voice cold, mechanical, and impossibly precise filled the room. "Captain's life signs confirmed. Locating access point. Stand by." The commander froze. "It can hear us." The human smiled. "It can hear everything." Outside the room, the prison shook violently. The sound of metal being torn apart echoed through the walls. A guard burst in, shouting, "Commander! The drones are inside the perimeter. They've breached the outer gates." Commander swore and ordered all troops to the lower levels. But it was already too late. The drones were moving with surgical precision, bypassing armed guards and heading directly toward the cell block where the human had been kept. On the screens, the battle in space looked one-sided now. Alien fleets were in full retreat, their formations shattered. The warship floated in the center of the chaos, unmoving except for its rotating weapons. Each time one of its cannons fired, another alien ship vanished in a flash of light. The commander turned back to the human, desperation in his voice. "I can still stop it. Tell me how to shut it down." The human's expression hardened. "You can't. That ship is older than your empire. It was built for one purpose, to protect its captain. And right now it's doing exactly that." The commander's anger flared. He slammed his fist into the table. "And you will never leave this planet alive." The human didn't even blink. "That's what you think?" At that moment, a deafening boom shook the chamber. The walls cracked, dust and debris raining down. One of the screens shattered, placed by the warship's emblem, black crest with a single red eye. The AI's voice returned, sharper this time. "Final warning. Return my captain now, or be erased." The commander's hands clenched. He had to disadreel the prisoner and survive, or defy the warship and risk annihilation. He hesitated, and in that hesitation, the warship made its choice for him. From orbit, it fired a kinetic strike not at the city, not at the prison, but at the alien fleet's ground command center miles away. The impact turned it into a crater of molten glass. The shockwave reached the prison seconds later, shaking the floor like an earthquake. The commander staggered. The humans stayed perfectly still. Outside, the sound of approaching drones grew louder. The prison walls groaned under the weight of the chaos outside. Dust fell in thick clouds from the ceiling. Somewhere deep in the compound, metal screamed as if giant claws were ripping it apart. The human sat in the interrogation room, still chained, still calm. His eyes were fixed on the flickering lights above. Then the sound changed. It was no longer the sharp, scattered noise of battle. It became a deep, steady roar, like the sky itself was opening. Every alien in the room froze. Through the cracked window, a black shadow slid across the horizon. It was massive, its outline jagged with towers, gun turrets, and armored hull plating. The warship had entered the atmosphere. The alien commander's face went pale. It's not supposed to survive atmospheric entry at that speed, he whispered. The human glanced at him. It's not supposed to exist, remember? Outside. The alien anti-air batteries opened fire. The sky lit up with plasma bolts and missile trails, but the warship's shields flared bright, swallowing every hit without slowing. Then, the voice came. It wasn't over the coms this time. It was everywhere. It vibrated in the walls, in the floor, in the air. Every alien felt it inside there. Bones, release my captain. The words were calm, cold, final. The commander stepped back, breathing hard, speaking to us directly. The human smiled faintly. You've never heard a Titan wake up before? The warship lowered until it hovered above the prison complex, casting the entire area in shadow. Drones poured from its open hangars like a black waterfall, landing on the roof, the gates, and every tower. Their weapons glowed, tracking every living thing that wasn't human. Inside the compound, the AI's voice spoke again. You have 30 seconds to comply. The commander shouted into his com, all units. Prepare to. A deafening blast shook the ground as one of the prison's outer guard towers exploded into molten slag. The AI had fired without warning. 20 seconds. The aliens panicked. Some dropped their weapons. Others ran. The guards in the room looked to the commander for orders. But his hands were shaking. The human watched him with quiet interest. You're running out of time. The commander's jaw clenched. He reached for the cuffs, but stopped. He was still thinking, still weighing his options. 10 seconds, the AI said. Outside, the warship's main gun began to glow, bright enough to blind anyone looking directly at it. The human leaned forward. If that fires, you won't have a prison left to guard. Finally, the commander swore and pressed his palm to the cuffs. With a hiss, they unlocked and fell to the floor. The AI's tone softened, but only slightly. Captain freed, commencing. Extraction. The human stood slowly, rolling his wrists. Good choice, he said before turning toward the door. The moment he stepped into the sunlight, the drones closed in around him, forming a moving shield. The warship's engines thundered overhead, and for the first time in years, the human felt the pull of home above. The Titan-class vessel rotated slightly, its guns still tracking every alien within range. The AI sent one last transmission to the alien command. Interference will result in elimination. The human walked through the prison yard with the drones around him, their black metal bodies glinting in the sunlight. Each one moved with perfect coordination, scanning every corner, every roof, every guard tower above. The Titan-class warship hung in the sky like a mountain suspended by invisible chains. Its hull blocked the sun, casting the entire compound into cold shadow. The alien troops, still scattered across the yard, gripped their weapons but didn't fire. Every one of them could feel the guns of the warship locked on them. One wrong move and they would vanish in a burst of light. The human looked up at his ship. Status. The AI's voice echoed through the air. Extraction path is ready. Multiple hostiles detected in orbit. Do you authorize elimination? The human's eyes narrowed. Yes. In orbit, the alien fleet had regrouped. Hundreds of ships formed a wall between the warship and the stars, weapons charging. Their admirals believed they could win by sheer numbers. They were wrong. The Titan-class ship tilted upward, its engines flaring. Then, with no warning, its main cannon unleashed a beam so bright it looked like a piece of the sun had been fired into space. The first alien battleship it hit simply ceased to exist. Its hull vaporized before its crew could even scream. Beam kept going, tearing through 2 more ships before fading in the prison yard. The ground shook from the distant shockwaves. The human didn't flinch. The alien commander, still standing near the yard entrance, stared up at the sky in horror. That wasn't even a full power shot. The AI's voice came again, colder this time. Target saturation complete. Commencing secondary strike. Dozens of smaller cannons along the Titan's flanks fired in perfect rhythm, each blast finding a different alien ship. One by one, the enemy fleet broke apart. Their burning remains falling toward the planet's surface. The galaxy was watching. Unbeknownst to the aliens, the warship had activated a galaxy-wide broadcast. Every capital world, every military base, every trading hub was seeing the same footage. Alien fleets dying, not in a long battle, but in minutes slaughtered by a single human ship, in the control rooms of far-off empires. Alien leaders whispered to each other. The legends about human titans were true. The AI sent a final message across the galaxy. This is one ship. This is one captain. Draw your own conclusions. Back on the planet, the last of the alien orbital fleet was gone. The warship lowered its massive frame until it hovered just above the prison. Its hangar doors opened, revealing the glowing interior. Drones surrounded the human and began lifting him toward the open bay. The alien commander shouted after him, "If you leave now, we will hunt you to the ends of the galaxy." The human glanced over his shoulder, his voice calm but sharp as steel. "Try it." The warship's engines roared, drowning out all sound. With a final burst of thrust, it pulled the human aboard and rose into the clouds. The prison was left. In silence, the shadow of the Titan gone, but the fear it left behind still heavy in the air. Far above, in the endless black of space, the warship turned toward its next target. The hangar doors closed behind the human, sealing away the blinding sunlight of the alien world. For a moment, there was only darkness. Then the deck lit up in pale blue strips, guiding him forward. The drones released him and moved back into storage, their eyes dimming. The air inside the ship was cool, clean, and strangely silent compared to the chaos outside. He walked through the wide corridor toward the heart of the vessel. The walls hummed with hidden power, and every step echoed like he was walking inside a living giant. "Welcome aboard, Captain," the AI's voice said. This time it wasn't booming. It was calm almost. "Warm. It's been a while," the human replied quietly. 2 years, 7 months, 13 days, the AI corrected. "You were late." The human almost smiled. "Got caught in traffic." Doors to the bridge slid open, revealing a vast chamber of glass and steel. The view stretched out across the stars, but for now the planet below still filled most of the window. Alien cities shimmered in the distance, their towers rising like silver spears. The captain stepped onto the command platform. The moment his boots touched it, the systems came alive, holograms lit up. Data flowed across the displays, and the ship's engines shifted from idle to battle-ready. "Report," he ordered. "Enemy ground forces in full retreat," the AI said. However, scans detect multiple human life signs in alien captivity across the planet. Estimated 312 survivors. The captain's jaw tightened. "We're getting them out." A holographic map of the planet appeared, glowing red at dozens of locations. Alien prison camps, labor sites, and hidden bunkers. Each one marked with the faint, flickering signal of a human life. The captain pointed at the nearest one. "Drop pods."
Oh.
"Full drone escort," confirmed. Within seconds, the Titan-class warship launched its rescue strike. From its underside, black pods shot down toward the planet, breaking through the atmosphere like falling meteors. Drones spilled out mid-descent, wings snapping open as they accelerated toward their targets. On the surface, Alien troops scrambled to respond, but the drones moved too fast. They tore through fences, shattered gates, and cut chains with surgical precision. Survivors were pulled into armored carriers, shielded from fire, and rushed back to the pods for extraction. On the bridge, the captain watched it all happen in real-time status, he asked. 25 survivors secured. More incoming, the AI replied. The alien commander from the prison was on one of the feeds, shouting orders into his comms, his face twisted in rage. They're stealing the prisoners. Stop them. But the alien defenses crumbled under the Titan's firepower. The warship's secondary cannons targeted anti-air batteries, wiping them out before they could fire a second shot. 70 survivors on board, the AI reported. Continuing operations? The captain's eyes stayed fixed on the map. Every red marker that turned green meant another group saved, but he knew the aliens wouldn't just sit back and watch. He would call reinforcements, big ones. Sure. Enough. The AI's tone shifted. Captain, multiple capital-class ships entering high orbit. Estimated arrival, 3 minutes. The captain's voice was steady. Then we finish in 2. The Titan's engines roared as it began maneuvering, keeping itself between the planet and the incoming enemy ships. Meanwhile, the last of the rescue pods shot upward, drones protecting them in tight formation. Extraction complete, the AI confirmed. All survivors accounted for. The captain took a deep breath. Then we leave. Make sure they remember this day. The warship's thrusters ignited, lifting it from the planet's gravity well. As it rose, its main cannon charged once more, not to destroy, but to send a message. From orbit, a single precision strike hit the alien military headquarters, erasing it from the map. No civilian areas were touched. The captain wanted the galaxy to understand this was not blind revenge. This was justice. The Titan vanished into the black, leaving behind a broken enemy and over 300 freed humans who would live to see another day. The Titan sailed through the dark void, engines glowing like molten stars. Inside, the rescued humans were being treated, wounds cleaned, food and water given. Fear slowly replaced with relief. But the captain knew it wouldn't last. The alien empire wouldn't just accept this defeat. The AI broke the silence. Captain, long-range scans detect mass fleet mobilization. Enemy ships are converging from multiple sectors. Its estimated strength, over 2,000 warships. The captain didn't look surprised. They want to make an example of us. They will fail, the AI replied, but there was a slight change in its tone, less confident, more calculating. Even for a Titan-class warship, those numbers were dangerous. Hours later, the first signs appeared. The stars outside the bridge. Window began to flicker, not from the ship's systems, but from hyperspace jumps. One by one, alien ships emerged into real space, forming a vast wall of metal and firepower. Cruisers, battleships, carriers, every type of war machine the alien empire had was here. Their formation stretched so far across space, it looked like a black curtain closing in. The comms lit up with a transmission. A tall, armored alien appeared on the main display, eyes burning with hatred. "Human vessel," the voice growled. "You have stolen prisoners, destroyed military assets, and killed thousands of our warriors. You will surrender immediately. Failure to comply will result in the total annihilation of your crew." The captain didn't answer right away. He let the silence stretch until even the alien commander seemed uneasy. Then he leaned forward. "You think you've seen what my ship can do? You haven't?" Before the alien could respond, the AI whispered in the captain's ear, unheard by anyone else, "I can deploy the Eclipse protocol, but there will be consequences." The captain's eyes narrowed. "Define consequences." "Massive energy discharge. High chance of damage to our own systems. It will cripple the enemy fleet, but it will not be subtle. Every empire in the galaxy will know where we are." The alien commander's voice cut back in. "Last chance, human? Kneel or die." The captain stood. His voice was steady, cold, and final. "Do it." The AI's systems shifted instantly. The lights on the bridge dimmed, replaced by a deep red glow. Deep within the Titan, ancient reactors came online, their cores humming with power that hadn't been used in decades. Outside, the warship's hull began to change. Plates slid open, revealing strange black spines that reached outward into space. Energy arced between them like lightning, and the very stars around the ship seemed to fade. The alien fleet opened fire. Thousands of plasma bolts and missiles raced toward the Titan, but they never reached their target. A sphere of darkness expanded from the warship pure void that swallowed light, sound, and energy. The incoming weapons simply vanished into it, gone as if they had never existed. Then, in one blinding instant, the sphere collapsed inward and exploded outward in a wave of white fire. Every alien ship within range went dark. Weapons, engines, shields, soul, dead. The mighty fleet drifted helplessly, powerless in the silent void. On the bridge, the captain watched the wreckage float past. His ship had survived, but the AI's voice came with a warning. Power reserves critical. We cannot repeat this strike. Soon, and they will call for reinforcements. The captain nodded slowly. Then we move, and we hit them before they can recover. Far away, across the galaxy, the broadcast of the battle was already spreading. Every empire, every ruler, every military strategist was seeing the same thing. One human ship against 2,000. And the human ship had won the battlefield. Was silent. Thousands of alien warships floated in space like broken statues, powerless and cold. Some still had crew alive, trapped inside dead metal hulls, staring out at the Titan-class warship that had ended them. Inside the Titan, the rescued humans gathered in the main hall. Some were still weak from captivity, others were tending to friends, but all of them kept glancing toward the bridge. They knew their fate depended on the captain's next move. On the command deck, the AI spoke quietly. Captain, all enemy vessels in range remain disabled. Communications are open. Every major civilization is monitoring this frequency. The captain stood in front of the main display. His voice would soon be carried across the galaxy. Patch me through. The signal went live. Billions of beings across countless worlds saw humans standing against the backdrop of deep space, lit only by the glow of his warship. This is Captain Jace Ward of the Titan-class vessel Aegis. You know what happened here? You saw your empire's armada fall, saw your warships turned into lifeless shells. This was not luck. This was not mercy. He leaned forward, eyes hard as stone. This was a warning. In the alien high councils, leaders leaned in closer to their screens. In pirate dens, mercenaries stopped mid-drink. On far-off colonies, miners froze at their work. The whole galaxy listened. For centuries, you've hunted my people. You've called us weak. You've laughed at our losses. But today, you learned the truth: humans don't bow. Humans don't break. And when pushed far enough, humans fight back. Behind him, the Aegis slowly rotated, revealing the full scale of its dark, towering hull. The Titan looked like a god of war carved from night itself. The captain's voice grew colder. Return our people. Tear down your slave markets. End your raids. Do this and you will never see me again. He paused, letting the silence stretch. Defy. Me and I will come for you. I don't care if you hide in the deepest nebula or behind the strongest fleet. I will find you. And when I do, there will be nothing left. The broadcast cut. For a moment, the galaxy was silent. Then, across dozens of star systems, alien generals began shouting orders, some to prepare for war, some to send peace envoys. No one agreed on what to do, but everyone agreed on one thing. The humans were no longer prey. On the bridge, the AI broke the quiet. They'll come for us, Captain. I know, he said, eyes fixed on the drifting alien wreckage.
That's
the point. The Aegis's engines flared, and the Titan turned away from the battlefield. It didn't flee, moved with the steady confidence of a predator that had already marked its next hunt. in the void of space. The human warship vanished into faster-than-light travel, leaving behind the wreckage of an empire's pride, the echo of a promise the galaxy would never forget.